My name is Becky Norwood. I'm with Spotlight Publishing. This is Kristin Carbone, and we are celebrating today the launch of the book Calm Parents, Confident Kids. Wow, what better could life be if we were calm and our kids were very confident? That's what we would want more than anything else. Kristin, we're just delighted to have you today and to have this conversation about this amazing book that is now out to the world. We are actually a hot new release in one category, and we're working on actually getting this book spread wide as far as the number of people that pick it up and actually be able to read it. What prompted you, Kristin, to decide to write a chapter for this book?
Well, I am a sole entrepreneur is what I call myself. And I was in a community working on my business and how to expand my business. And I fell into, hey, Lee, I fell into the brain training world by Dana Wilde. And it was great. I loved learning I loved learning the science behind using our brains and elevating our emotions. And I had at the time, my daughter was like 7 years old. And so,
Wow.
yeah, I was like, wow, this is cool. Like, and I was going through the process and doing some of the techniques. And I was like, hey, do you want to try this with me? And so got her involved. And then we just, the community is, very interactive and in the Dana's community. And so some of us were on a call with her and we're like, gosh, what if we use this with kids? Like, what if we took this out into the world? Like, my passion as I've been on this journey with my daughter is really seeing where, to me, there's some breaks in the education system. And I found that whatever I could do to help her be successful and seeing that it did help, like, that made me want to do more. And so I'm reaching out and trying to, open my mind and my growth to helping more people in different ways, in ways that light me up, but focusing on helping our children. So
That's beautiful, and it's such we bear a huge responsibility as parents and grandparents actually to help our children to step into this world and be the leaders they're meant to be. But it starts with us. It starts by us leading by example. Yeah, Lee, we're happy you could join us today. Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me.
This is awesome. Now, Lee wrote the introduction to the book. And we're going to kind of go back and forth between what you wrote in your chapter. Kristin, yours is tips to mastering the magical matchmaker, and Lee wrote the introduction. Lee, and why did you choose to participate in this amazing book that is out to the world?
Well, I was a public school teacher for over 30 years in inner city Los Angeles. So that's enough right there.
My aunt was a school teacher for many, many years, probably about the same number in inner city Los Angeles as well. And she's in her 80s right now, and she's, of course, not teaching, but she's adamant. And one of the first things when I first started publishing is she wrote a book for children. It was one of her big forays into the public world of getting a book out. It was really fun experience to have with her. So you have some really very interesting comments in your chapter or in your introduction. Talk about what it was like to help bring this book to the world.
Well, it's been a catalyst for me personally. And I pre-ordered the book. Sorry,
mine should be here today.
Confident Kids: How to Use Brain Training to Raise Happy, Resilient Children, with a foreword by Dana Wilde and the contributors Marian Solis, Renee Rialta, myself, Debbie Owen, who you interviewed earlier this morning. And it's so perfect how everything worked out. Kristin, who's here, Patricia Dawn Clark, Tamara Jackson Clark, who you're interviewing the last interview today, our sweetheart in Alaska.
if we can get her to sync, because we've had a little issue. She's having little issues right now.
I know, and Muriel wasn't able to come. Muriel Falous wasn't able to come because she's in Tel Aviv, Israel, and she had no access to the internet. So it is what it is. Muriel
Technology.
Falous, Louisa Joy Dykstra, Hugh Jackson's fan club builder and amazing author, Constance Greer, Deborah Helser, Angela Humber, Michelle Louvier, Charity Nicole. I've been in a couple of Dana Wild's programs. They're really incredible. My favorite one is 6 Weeks to Mastery, because she has you go in and stretch time. So rather than looking at the task you have to do, you give yourself, okay, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes more, and then 5 minutes more, and you just increment in minutes. It changed my life. This book was the brainchild of Marian Solis and Renee Rialta, but Marian really is the instigator. And she is involved with Dana Wild's Train Your Brain University and Positive Prime, which I know you'll hear more about.
I know about Positive Prime too. Amazing stuff. Yeah.
Amazing stuff, right?
Yeah.
And the process, I mean, originally I was going to write something for parents of really young children. And as it evolved, I realized I need to be doing this work. This is important work to do every single day.
Absolutely.
And I think Debbie talked about integrating our lives, integrating our history, integrating what we know, and then allowing ourselves the space to learn.
It's a beautiful process, and as both parent and being grandparents as well, it's our responsibility to teach our children the same thing, and our grandchildren, of course. But also, we learn like Kristin mentioned, we learn from our kids too. It's truly amazing.
Yeah.
So we, this is an amazing time, because we really all have the responsibility to step up as world leaders and make a difference. And
Yes.
As we step into those roles, the things that we learn, and maybe we didn't have that kind of training when we were young, but how important our thoughts are and how we can change our outcomes by the way we think.
It's imperative.
Absolutely.
I mean, René Descartes wrote in the 1400s, I think, therefore I am. And that whole philosophy, that whole philosophical thread has led us to this day. I mean, Carl Jung in the 40s and 50s said, until we make the unconscious conscious, we are going to be at the mercy of our fate, at the mercy of everyone else. And what greater gift in life than to have the knowledge of how to be a sovereign human being that is also a force of good in the world, willing to participate and contribute to peace and health and wellness and joy. Mm-hmm. And the discovery of, I mean, even just alone, I was talking to I was at the dentist yesterday, and the woman, the hygienist, was saying she was so excited. I took my book in, of course. I take it everywhere now, right? Okay. look. I'm an author. Kristina's original book, Train Your Brain.
Right.
Okay. Really, truly, what we hoped was that, well, I don't even know what we hoped when we started it. because
we hope to change our kids, right? To give them this tool to then co-create. Like, that is what this tool also teaches, right? We can use our mind to then create what we want to bring into the world. And as parents, right, we're able to then help co-create a life for ourselves and for our family that dovetails in with the value of what you were saying, Lee, is human beings that are kind, compassionate, peaceful, wanting to be leaders in this world. And so that, at least that's what was part of the reason why I wanted to do this as well. And I think the focus has always been that we want to bring good to the world, for sure. And you talk about that in the introduction.
You really do, and for I think that there's so many good people in the world. There are, it's massively amount of number of people that each one of us that stand up and work to do good in the world, we become a ripple effect. But I think at the core of the vast majority of human beings, they want to do good. They want to be good. They want to be the leaders. They want to do the things. Some of us may be a little bit slower in learning the process of it, but we still, as we step into this and we live by example, and we catch ourselves at those times when maybe we go like this, and we might fall down at times, but we also pick up and have those gentle reminders by those we surround ourselves with, the ones as we step into the world. For Kristin, your chapter is about the mastering the magical matchmaker. What is that? Share with the audience what this means.
Sure, and it's a theme that definitely runs, I feel, throughout the whole book, and it really is about the part of our brain called the reticular activating system, and it's that part of the brain that is constantly, I'm going to simplify it, and it talks about it a little bit in the book. And Lee, maybe Lee could read that. Why don't you read that little excerpt?
You want me to read the illustration in the chapter? Okay, sure. So the RAS, or reticular activating system, is our brain's matchmaker. The reticular activating system matches our emotions, thoughts, feelings, awareness, even learning to what, where, and with what intensity we consciously or unconsciously direct its focus. The RAS will always match output, or will match what gets created, to the input. Negative, repetitive mental loops, negative, repetitive, unwanted patterns, behaviors, and incorrect learning and unwanted outcomes are matched by the reticular activating system, perhaps even creating fear, false evidence appearing real. We have got the power to choose our focus. Let's choose through loving consciousness.
Beautiful.
So for me, that made me feel like, I was learning this myself alongside a younger child at the time, and it just seemed magical. So what you're telling me is what I think on the inside will show up on the exterior. So what comes in comes out, and it's like, okay, wait a minute. So it's kind of like magic. And so I really love that idea of the RAS as being a matchmaker, right? It's this magical matchmaker. It's going to match up anything that I think about. And so my chapter really focuses in on what I felt were the 6 tips to really help you use this part of your brain. We all have it. We all, we're living and breathing because of it. I'm breathing, you're breathing, because that's happening. Right? The brain is doing its job, right? And so, so I just really felt inspired to, talk about, okay, here are the things that you can do, and you can do it for yourself, and you can teach it to your children. Yeah. And so let's co-create the life we want. Let's not let the mind drive us. Let us drive the mind.
Here.
That's so beautiful. And I noticed on your tips, they were really thought-provoking. As I went through the book in preparing for this day, your first tip is you need to switch off all autopilot thinking.
Yeah.
Talk about that. What does that mean?
So the brain is constantly on autopilot. So it's just like when you learn to drive, right? at first, when you're learning to drive, you're adjusting the mirrors and checking, your steering wheel and the environment around you. And, you're really nervous, right? But from a new driver to a seasoned driver, it just is part of who you are. I start out my chapter by saying, how is it, that you can do all these things in the morning? You're making breakfast, you're packing backpacks, you're doing this, and oh, whoops, my daughter's screaming, I can't find my sneakers for gym. And all the while, we're breathing and moving along. So that's because our brain is doing things on autopilot, even the intentional things that we shouldn't be, right? So there are things that we should be intentional about how we interact with somebody, being mindful of the way we're talking, those sort of things. So that's a little bit about that tip.
Beautiful. And then you talk about mantras and how they change our thinking. What is a mantra and how does it change us?
So a mantra is a phrase that you can use, and a lot of spiritual practices use mantras. I don't think I have to define it. So you can use mantras to help with the RAS. So you're telling your brain, today's going to be a great day. And so your brain hears that, and your RAS says, oh, you want to see evidence of a great day. Or, I'm going to do great on this test today. And the more you talk about that, your brain's going to find evidence to prove to you that you're going to do great on that test or that you're going to have a great day.
What you focus on expands, basically.
That is exactly it.
Yeah. So you talk about using a rant to shift the energy from negative to positive. What kind of a rant are you speaking about?
So a rant is just a way to kind of prime the pump in your brain. So your brain is very smart. It knows when it knows when you're BSing it, right? It picks up on whether you're being truthful or not. Like, it can sense that. However, it's also interesting that your brain will believe, but once you get it to believe, it's going to believe whatever you tell it. If I'm sitting here and I'm saying that I'm laying on the beach, with the ocean and the waves and the wind blowing through my hair, if I can get beyond the part of my brain that says, no, that's not true, Kristin, you're not, you're sitting in your office and you're doing this interview, it will believe that. And so what you want to do with a rant is you want to use it to prime the pump of your brain. And it's a positive rant. And I'm not very, Dana's the master at rants. We all, everybody in her community knows rants. So I'm not going to try and make it and do a rant here right now with you, but it's shifting from, if you're struggling with something, you can start out with, I hope that this interview goes good. I hope that I'll say the right things. I hope that I can communicate what I really want with you today. And you know what? I'm starting to feel like I have the confidence that, yeah, I can do this. You know what? I'm going to be great on this interview, and it's going to be so great. And I'm going to touch so many people, and they're going to hear about this amazing book. And you know what? This book is going to just launch like crazy. And we're not only going to help families and teachers and kids, but we're going to help the people that we're raising money for through this book. And it's just going to be great. And then boom, you start to feel that shift, because it's not only the words you say, it's emotions behind it. I didn't think I could do that.
And you feel like playing tennis with her, don't you? Yeah, let's play some more. Let's do this, right? And thank you for saying that, Kristin, because I didn't even mention it. All the proceeds, and that's another thing about these amazing women, Becky, and you too. Becky has given her time to bring this book forward into the world. And she is a global international publisher with hundreds and hundreds of clients. But she chose to give us a chance to get this book off the ground, because none of us are professional authors. We're school teachers, we're librarians.
Quite a journey.
We're, and all of the proceeds, whatever after we pay our publication costs, are going support two schools. One is called the Peace Academy, and the other is called Anandvan, which means the blissful forest. And that's a school for children in rural India. And it's a whole new system. It's a whole new system of, like, the schooling is following the brain training. In other words, there's no more sage on the stage. The adults and the children are not, there's not a hierarchy of knowledge.
Yeah.
There is a difference of experience. And wouldn't it be just magnificent if we could include all our parents in the schooling of their children, and that people who maybe didn't get the education that they really yearned for as a young person, when their children, they can actually get it. I mean, I got to tell you, my mom couldn't read. She's a Canadian farmer, and she had to travel with her parents. She was picking fruits as soon as she could walk. And she never learned to read because A, she has dyslexia, and B, she just never had the time in school. So when I started school, the brilliant woman who was the wife of the founder of Tempo School in Canada said, okay, I'm going to teach you how to teach Lee to read. She didn't say, oh, you don't know how to read, so you can't help her. No, she said, I'm going to teach you how to read. I'm going to teach you how to do it so you can teach Lee how to read.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
It's amazing. And like, I'm just going to read what Noah Kolkalia, the founder of the Peace Academy of the Sciences and Arts here in San Luis Obispo, California, wrote. We are honored these 15 authors have come together to recognize the Peace Academy of the Sciences and Art and dedicate their proceeds to help us grow in our sphere of impact. Calm Parents, Confident Kids is perfectly aligned with Peace Academy's beliefs about children. It uses our knowledge about brain science to guide us through powerful strategies that are conducive to parents' well-being and the healthy social, emotional development of their children. When we teach children to respect their brain signals from a young age, we are essentially supporting their formation of a positive self-perception, which then translates to grit, perseverance, and intellectual flexibility, agility of mind. I mean, think about it. If we stick on a rigid belief, what do we create? We create more of the same. Einstein said it.
Right. Rigidity.
The problems that we face cannot be solved with the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. Sorry, no.
Well, and we're seeing that.
Negative thoughts.
We see it
perpetuated by their external experiences. And see, that's really the key. Think about it. If we don't know our history, we are doomed to repeat it.
Absolutely.
And if we can't even access it because our thinking is so rigid and so fearful, that we've either done wrong or we're being done wrong too. So if we're in a victim or a perpetrator mode, there's no growth, there's no creation. So let me finish what she said. This makes them adept in interrupting negative thoughts, perpetuated by their external experiences, then translating these thoughts into positive and meaningful shifts that are transformative to their development. With easy to read examples and fun, relatable stories, these authors ultimately show us how to teach children the skills to responsibly control what they have control of while navigating the ups and downs of life. Thank you for creating your work in honor of the Peace Academy.
Beautiful. Yeah, and there's so much in this book that is just filled with those kind of words. And those that are reading this book already has 40 some reviews on Amazon right now, and I expect it to just grow leaps and bounds because the value of what is coming to the world. And as we pay attention to ourselves, we are conscious of every word we speak, and we really lead by example that way. Wow, look at what a change it can bring to the world. And our children, if they learn this at a young age, how much better leaders they will be than even we ever dreamed of being, you know. And to get it that from that early beginning to be the adults, come into the world as adults, as young people, and know this already is pretty amazing, and what a blessing.
Right. I mean, think about the power of choice. Like truly, truly, if we can say, all right, so what is free will? It's the power to choose. And that's a law. I mean, that's law. This is a free will universe. We all have the power to choose. And wouldn't it be lovely were we choosing together in concert with this growing, expanding heart of love that says, yes, yes, we can be responsible stewards of the earth. Yes, we can be prosperous and live peacefully. Yes, we can live in a world without war. It is entirely possible.
Yes, it is entirely possible. And that's the beautiful role that we have as getting this message out to the world, is making this very much front and center, to the way we lead our lives and to the way we impact our world. Very, very true. Beautiful.
And really forgive yourself, like we'll make mistakes, right? Like you guys know, as a parent, oh my gosh, it's like
Number one.
Well, in Becky, you pointed out like how amazing to start with your kids really young with this. I started when she was like 7 or 8, and some people are starting it when their kids are may just find this as their, maybe they have a younger one, but they have a teen and they go, oh, I missed. You never miss. Right. You're an adult and you can change this. That's the beauty of this book, is it really will support you at any part of your journey with children, or if you're an educator or someone that works with children. It's really beautiful what it offers.
And you mend your relationships, Becky. I mean, that's what happened to me while I was putting the book together. Like, it just happened that, and so, in my drives, as I'm sitting in the train, doing my commute, reading. So I have read through this book like Debbie has as the editor multiple times. And every time I glean something new. But what you've just said, Kristin, about starting early, I mean, if you think about it, language isn't our only, words that come from our voice is not the only way we communicate. And if we even look at the research, communication happens through our body language, but it also happens energetically. And if we are unconsciously delivering a story to our child, I mean, just even this simple, and I heard this so many times from parents. Oh, I'm an immigrant. I don't speak English. I didn't even go to 3rd grade. I can't help oh, yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
You have the power to communicate your culture, your love, your values, and you have the power to give your child a grounding rod on this planet of pure, unadulterated power of choice. And when we can make conscious choices, we are in a state of safety and we are open, and man, oh man, can we learn.
Very true. Very
beautiful.
True. And we never stop learning either. And that's the beauty of this, is that there's not one day that doesn't pass by that there's something to learn, and we continue to grow, and sometimes we maybe don't always remember it maybe in a moment of a trigger or something that comes up, but it's what we do about it from there.
Yes.
It's so we make a mistake, right? We do, but it's what we do about it, and it's a choice. And that's the biggest thing is, I did a series of books when I first started publishing called We Choose to Thrive. And you know, and that's the basic where we are. We are choosing to continue to learn. We're choosing to live by example. We're choosing to teach our children, our grandchildren, a whole beautiful way of expression, and also watching those thoughts that are going into our, and what is that constant recurring of the pattern of our thinking, because it's very simple. If we're not conscious and aware, it's very easy to get caught up in poor me, or things aren't going good, and you know, all of that. But it's that doing everything we can to stay consciously aware and sharing it with others.
Wow.
So beautiful. Well, you know, this is a beautiful interview. I wish we could go on and on, but this is a beautiful time that for those that are listening or who know of somebody that could benefit from this book, it's available on Amazon. It's actually quite a few platforms, but right now we have the link that'll take you right to Amazon. Pick up a copy, share it with others, and get the word out. This is a beautiful time. The content of this book, I think that every human being alive should read it. But you know, in actuality, the parents, those who are leading, the teachers, the parents that are leading and teaching children day in and day out, we would really wish that the message gets out.
Becky, thank you. You know, that's the other thing. It's like, okay, a lot of times we can diffuse the stress. We can diffuse the stress when we just, but like you saw how Kristin did it. I hope. I just start with I hope. Start with even I love, or even I choose.
Or a smile.
Or a smile. Yeah, you know, that's my favorite yoga pose.
Or smile. Start
Just pull your, right? That's a yoga pose, right? Yes. You just like it. There's so much stress in the world, and kids, that's not how we learn. We can't learn through stressful punishment and, you know, you're wrong. No, it's just not possible. It actually creates real problems. However, when we can like de-stress, when we can calm that nervous system down, and truly the inner dialogue is what does it. It's just a choice of what story am I going to follow?
Mm-hmm. Very much.
What direction am I going to give my heart today? Am I going to berate it, or am I going to say, wow,
I love you.
You're alive. Good job. You know, let's go make some joy. Let's go create some beauty. Let's participate with each other in ways that mend.
Right. And oftentimes we're hardest on ourselves. So it's also a forgiveness process of ourselves. And you know, sometimes it's easier to forgive others than it is ourselves. And so that's something that needs to be paid attention to too, because because of being what we're learning here and what we know, and if we can understand that you know, taking care of ourselves is kind of the key starting point to how we impact the world. But self-care, acknowledging, you know, whatever situations that come up, and say, yeah, I could have done better, but I love myself to grow enough to grow from this experience.
Right on.
And
right on, Becky.
It's just the way life works, and being aware and just paying attention.
Yeah. And we do quote a lot of other authors: Mind to Matter, Dawson Church, D. Wallace Bourne, Rebirthing a New You. They're like, humanity's ready for this change. Thank you very much. You know, we didn't even give you a shout out though. You know, Becky is also an author. Wisdom of the Silver Sisters is a fantastic book.
And that's how we met. Yeah.
That's how we met.
Right. Yeah.
Bravo, thank you.
Well, thank you, ladies, for a beautiful conversation. I wish we could go on and on, but thank you for participating. Thank you for having the heart, the love in your hearts to be able to stand up and get your message out and bring this book to the world. It takes a lot of effort and time to do something like this in the right way. And you ladies have done it. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Becky.
And thank you
Thank
for
you,
all the
Kristin.
other ladies in this book.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah.
a beautiful book, and with a powerful, powerful message that the world needs. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.